Welcome to my sunroom in New York Wine City. From here I depart on my Riesling adventures to the places where the best white wine on earth grows. The next stop for my video camera and I is Oregon, just to the north of California. Of course, Oregon is most famous for its Pinot Noir red wines, but it has also been called the promised land of American Riesling. Let's go and find out why. Portland, Oregon, on the Willamette River. Most of the wines of Oregon grow in the valley of the Willamette, further upstream, and that's where I'm headed, into Riesling country.
The Willamette, being British I had to learn the correct pronunciation, is much greener than the wine valleys of California and Washington State, because the summer here is shorter, cooler, and less dry. Seriously good conditions for growing Riesling. It was my Oregonian driver Kirk, a tall guy in a black t-shirt who'll wander into the frame at some point, who corrected my pronunciation. He's taking me to Chehalem Vineyards, where Harry Peterson Nedry and his daughter Wynne produce seriously exciting dry Oregon Rieslings.
Stuart!
Great to see you.
How are you?
Hi, how are you?
Wait, where are the wines? Let's get tasting.
Yeah, got it.
Welcome to Chehalem. It's great to see you again.
So we'll talk about Oregon Riesling. What does it taste like? How important is it for the state? Is it a small specialty? Is it big? If it's not big, could it become big?
Well, the camera is actually running, and it is actually functioning.
Now, if only I were functioning.
Well, if I may say so, I think your Rieslings are functioning spectacularly well.
Well, we're committed to Riesling, and it's we shouldn't say this around the other bottles of whites that we make because Riesling is our favorite child, at mine at least.
Hey.
Well, besides my daughter, who is over here. Riesling is what I'm most passionate about as far as white wine. If I had one prediction that I would hang my hat on, it would be that Riesling and Chardonnay will, within the next 10 to 15 years, overtake Pinot Gris, which for some reason has become the #1 white variety in Oregon. And it'll do that just because I think we finally found that in the Willamette Valley, at least, this protected climate between the Coast Range and the Cascade Range of mountains here, that it's a bona fide cool climate, one that does exceptionally well not only for Pinot Noir, but for white varieties like Chardonnay and Riesling. And Riesling, to my mind, is the most versatile white wine out there. It's the deserted island. If I could only have one white wine buried there, it would be Riesling.
So he's the good talker and you're the good
I
actress.
guess so.
Really?
I don't know, that was just dubbed. I hadn't heard that before.
Why Riesling?
I think it's the most food-friendly wine out there, personally. I tend to like a lot of spicier foods, Asian foods, and it always pairs very well with everything that I like. The valley here also gives a lot of diversity as far as summertime fare, and it goes well with everything from the fish that comes from the seashore to fresh noodles with tomatoes and basil, or salads, or everything. So
I'm starting to feel hungry.
yeah, I know, me too.
Steak and Riesling? What was that you just said?
I personally don't quit drinking Riesling. Even in a meal where I'd start out and it's an ideal pairing for Dungeness crab or for whatever I'm eating in earlier courses, I can go to a meat course and say, oh my gosh, bring me another bottle of that same Riesling. Because Riesling carries with it that low pH, higher acid, fat cutting characteristic that makes even having it with steak or pork or something like that dynamite.
Excuse me. Is your dad crazy?
You didn't hear it from me. No, he isn't. He's got very good palate as far as food goes. So.
Well, I'm crazy, but not as far as that comment's concerned.
Duck. I like duck with Riesling.
Yeah, me too. I have to agree.
Yeah. But I can't say I've ever had a steak with it. Maybe I just need
I can.
You need to take me out to dinner more often.
Yeah, buy you steak.
That sounds good.
There we go.
Let's go.
Those Chehalem Rieslings blew my fucking mind. The acid in them is of electric intensity. Electric Ladyland intensity. My next stop is Brooks Wines. Since the sudden death of founder Jimmy Brooks in 2004, it's been run by his sister, Janie, and winemaker Chris Williams.
So, Chris, these pictures on the cask heads, who did them?
A lot of them started out with kids. We brought chalk in for Memorial Day weekend and wanted something for the kids to do. So we brought chalk in and let the kids go to work, and then the adults kind of started to take over.
Oh my God, that sounds dangerous.
Yeah, give somebody something fun.
Chris, some people think the small wooden barrels are very sexy, but I have the feeling that for Riesling, the kind of fermentation vessel you're leaning on is so much more interesting.
I agree. I'd say the focus really should be on what works best for you. I think wood works good for some people, but for me, Sputnik does the job.
So this is a nice home for the Riesling grape.
Yeah, it's a good size, it's a good shape, it goes through fermentation just fine, and it gives you something to talk about.
It certainly looks a hell of a lot different from anything else I've seen. Where did you get it?
We actually got them from England. They're old beer kegs. They come over from England and have jackets put on them, and about 220 gallons, the perfect size to break things up. And I don't know, we really like them. Jimmy purchased them years ago, back in early 2000s, and they've worked perfect for us ever since.
Well, the wines out of these strange receptacles certainly seem to taste good. I think that's the final test. What do you think?
It is. Again, it's just focusing on things that work best for what you do in your winery. Everybody has something different that they're doing, and as long as the wines turned out great, I guess it doesn't matter how they got there.
Oregon Riesling hasn't only been making friends and influencing people in Portland. At trade conferences around Planet Wine, that electric Ladyland acidity and those vibrant aromas have been creating a buzz. I caught up with Janie Brooks-Hoyk at one of those conferences, the Riesling Rendezvous in Seattle. Actually, my video camera and I kind of picked her up in the hotel bar.
Hi.
Hi.
So I had some wonderful Pinot Noir red wines from Brooks Winery. Why do you produce those?
We produce Pinot Noir to support our Riesling habit. That's the reason.
Describe Oregon Riesling.
There is a group of people out there that are completely passionate about making Riesling. More so, I think, than any other white varietal for the producers who make it. They make it in all different styles, but I think they all do their very best to be as hands-off with what they're doing and to have it reflect where it's come from, whether it be their specific AVA or a lot of their estate vineyards. And it's very true. It's very true to the place.
So how long has Brooks Winery been making Riesling?
since 1998 when we started,
From the first year on.
for the first year on.
And do you have other white wines?
We do have some other white wines, but probably about 2/3 of our whites are Riesling.
Wow. That seems to me to be a pretty major commitment in the Oregon context.
Yeah, and it started when my brother got into the industry. A lot of growers were removing their Riesling and grafting it over with Chardonnay and Pinot Gris, and he stopped a lot of them and promised to try to restore the reputation of making Riesling in Oregon.
So which style do you make?
We make all styles. We hit all 4 points on the sweetness scale, but primarily dry.
Dry means really dry.
Dry
or?
means really dry, less than 1%.
And in Oregon, the wines have, people might think from where you're situated that the wines might have low acidity, but my impression was always that they had plenty of acidity.
We have a lot of higher elevation sites where we are on the Yosemite Hills, 750 to 800 feet. Later ripening, cooler, lots of wind, cool at night, lots of acidity.
Some people are frightened of acidity. But it's actually an essential part of every wine and almost every food. Seldom is it as exciting as in Oregon Riesling, though. I love Pinot Noir red wines, but to my mind, Oregon Rieslings are the real sideways wines.